What is happening, man? Welcome back for Tuesday Trading. I'm your host, Tony Merlin, and as always, we are live for you every Tuesday at 9 a.m., doing our best to bring you actionable content, right? The slogan is Take Action Now, and we want to bring you actionable content that you can take to the marketplace, put it in your business, help you make some money today, and that's definitely what this show is all about. AEP Checkup or AEP Prep Up from the neck up. And as always, we run this thing live right here in Syndicate headquarters in Austin, Texas. So we've got a great panel for you guys. We want to kind of help you get some kind of tips, right? It's that time. We're only 54 days away from AEP, which ironically is the exact number of days you get during AEP to write as much business as you want to write, and certainly hope it all sticks. And we're going to help you do that. So we're going to talk to you about some of the preparation that you need to look at, processes that you might need to put in place, et cetera, et cetera. And I've got a heck of a panel of guests. Let's get them on. First is Miss Victoria Trevino. Victoria is the regional sales manager for Blue Cross. She's an ex-independent agent herself, and she's a crusher. She's also the former president of the Austin chapter of what is now known as NABIP. Used to be NAHU, but now it's called NABIP, the National Association of Benefits and Insurance Professionals. Can you say that
Hello.
3 times?
Glad to be here. Hi.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us. Next up, we've got the very lovely and aggressive but fun Emily Trevino, one of my favorite people in the industry. She runs Wise Up Financial down in Houston, Texas, with her partner Kim on. She's also a member of NABIP, just a great thought leader in the industry, an absolute Medicare expert. Ton of experience in that lady right there. If you don't know her, you need to get to know her. And then we will also have Josh Youngs joining us. He's running a little bit behind, but he will be jumping on here shortly with us. And we're going to discuss, like we said, AEP Prep Up from the neck up. So thank you, ladies. Thanks for jumping in. Real quick, I introduced y'all, but take just a quick moment, say hello. And actually, here he is. Let me interrupt real quick. The man of the hour, the tower of power, Medicare Machine himself. If you don't know Joshua Youngs, you definitely need to follow this guy and get in his brain, or let him get in your brain. I've been in this industry for 19 years, and I'm pretty sure I'm safe to say this. He is probably the single highest producing individual producer coast to coast like butter and toast. If I'm wrong, I ain't wrong by much. But when you talk about the top people in the industry that write business, this dude every day kills it. It's nuts, and he does it belly to belly.
Take it easy.
What can I say? Wow.
Thank you. That was a wonderful intro.
Well, thank you for joining us, sir.
Sorry I'm late. My 3-year-old had a rough go dropping off at kindergarten where he didn't want to leave. So I had to try to smooth that over and then disappear without him tearing apart the place, because he's a redhead and he gets fiery sometimes. So thank you for allowing me to be tardy.
Takes after his dad.
Maybe a little bit.
Right on. Well, listen, we're going to dive right in. Again, the topic is AEP Prep Up from the neck up. Basically, things you need to be doing to get yourself ready for AEP. Because, again, you only got 54 days. And I want to start with Victoria. From a carrier perspective, what do you think? And I kind of want to lead this in because what we were talking about backstage, because Emily just got through throwing an event that was a massive carrier rollout. So I wanted to ask Victoria real quick, how important do you think it is that agents pay attention to their carrier rollouts, pay attention to changes? Like, what are some of the details they should be looking for when the carrier says, hey, here's our new plans for 2024?
Well, thanks, Tony. And it's great to be on a panel. Hi, Joshua. Hi, Emily. So all carrier representatives have what we call our AEP product rollout. And here in Central Texas, for you guys that don't know, I'm the regional sales manager for Central Texas Blue Cross Blue Shield. And our event's coming up September the 21st. A lot of times the agents will ask me, well, do I really need to be there? Can you just do it virtually? And yeah, we are going to be doing it virtually as well. But here's what you're going to miss. At the product rollout, we're going to talk about, the benefits, we're going to talk about the premiums, we're going to talk about the copays, but really the key part is the interaction between all the agents that are there. The questions that are asked in the room, somebody else in the room has that same question, that same thought. So there's a lot of dialogue that goes on during our rollout meeting. So please make a point to be there. Again, here in Central Texas, that's September the 21st. In San Antonio, it's September the 7th. But there's key information at those rollout meetings. And we want to know that you are personally invested in selling our products. So showing up is part of that investment.
Makes sense. So, Emily, you just had a huge carrier rollout. What were some of the things that agents were asking these carriers, or what were some of the things maybe that you felt the carriers were putting out, that were in that AEP landscape of, hey, how do I get myself ready for this?
Well, the great thing is, first of all, carriers are really excited about getting information out to the agents. So that I was really excited to have them show up to our event. We did a big broker rollout, carrier rollout, because agents get comfortable selling their key products, right? They're like, hey, I sell this plan and this plan. And then what ends up happening is they miss network highlights of another plan. They miss key benefits that are maybe changing the entire landscape of the market, right? So whenever I was the one asking all the questions, so by the way, which there's a lot of questions to ask.
Doesn't surprise me.
No, I know. And I'm naturally curious. But the thing is like, you need to ask more than just like, hey, what copays do you have? Things that you can read, you don't need to be asking the carriers. You need to ask them things like, Amira Group's having a major rebranding only in Texas. Why? What is that? Well, apparently carriers can license their names. And there's like a whole thing to it because I'm going to be doing a story on it on Facebook, but I didn't even know that was even a thing, right? So, and that's why they have to rebrand and things like that. And so we want to know, like, as agents, you need to know how to prepare your business. And in order for you to prepare your business, you need to know not what's happening this AEP, but what's coming down for 2024. And then you're like, if they're getting rid of this plan or if they're investing in this area, why? And that's the strategic questions you have to ask so that you know. Now, it makes it a little hard when you're an independent agent because you're like, dude, I just need to make my sales. I need to pay my bills. So sometimes it can be a little overwhelming. But here's the deal. You ask strategic questions. You identify key opportunities that you can capitalize on before all the other agents know about it. And so asking those strategic questions is the most important part. For example, like we were just talking about behind stage, Blue Cross Blue Shield, MD Anderson's part of their network. And apparently MD Anderson's coming to Austin. I didn't know that. And I wouldn't have known that had we not just started talking about it. So engage in your carriers.
Yes.
Find key opportunities, not just, hey, what's your copay? Or why don't you have a food card? Or why are you getting rid of the plan? Try to find those strategic questions.
Beautiful.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Josh, you obviously write a lot of business, right? I know you have relationships with your carrier reps. How much does that play into your preparation for AEP? Like, are you approaching some of your carrier reps that you have a relationship with in your area and asking certain things from them that you need for AEP to help you out as an agent?
Well, the top carriers at this point come to me, but in the beginning, I had to show up, and the FaceTime, like doing the virtual stuff is great if COVID and all that, yay, wonderful. But and I love doing stuff like this, but it'd be much different than if we were all on a stage right now in front of the studio, in front of a real audience. The impact we could have would be much better. The relationships you build there are critical. But the carrier reps, especially if you're new, like first, second, third, fourth year, and you don't have money to market, because right now, you need to be doing, if you're doing direct mail right now, you're probably a little bit late even right now. You need to start doing your drops now to get ahead of the curve. So you got to have money to do that. You got to have capital. If you don't have capital, then you got to offer sweat equity. And it starts with showing up. The carrier reps, believe it or not, that's their job, is to do those trainings and those webinars and those events. And it gets boring when nobody shows up. And so you'd be surprised how amazingly impactful it can be just to show up at a carrier training event, even if it's some topic you think you know everything about. Show up anyway, and it's that relationship time you get. But when I hit the field, Tony, one of the key reasons I was able to do 300 apps in my first 6 months was I had a really good relationship with my Humana rep, and Humana was not just feeding me leads; they were feeding me preset appointments. Where I was getting 2 preset appointments a week, and then during AEP I was getting 5 a week. And I mean, who here would not like to have 2 steady apps a week? I mean, some people I know would retire on 2 apps a week. But you know, it's the relationship you have with the carrier reps. They have access to the money and the pockets that have a lot deeper pockets than you do. And so for me, don't be afraid to date around. It's okay to make commitments with multiple carrier reps in one AEP. Just don't overcommit. And so one thing that I would recommend is be authentic. If you know in your mind you can't do 100 applications in AEP for the XYZ carrier, then don't tell the carrier rep you can do that. Tell the carrier rep reasonably what you think you can do and what the stretch goal is, and then they can, because they are going to reconcile on the backside, and they're not going to like say, give me the money back, but next year, if you didn't hit your target this year, the money's not going to be as deep. And what I also learned is as you grow, when I leveled up from GA and now I was competing with MGAs, they wanted more applications and less marketing dollars.
Correct.
I was like, but I think we got this backwards here. But no, now you're competing with, they started giving me names, and now I'm competing with agencies that have hundreds, if not thousands of agents, and I've got 30. And so you got to be realistic when you go into it. But yeah, the carrier relationships for me, not only for the opportunity, but on the backside of business, to me is where the carrier relationship pays off the most. So if I'm having a problem with XYZ client and they can't get a drug approved, they can't get a surgery approved or something like that, that's where my relationships pay off, more so than any lead or anything else that I get is on the retention side.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Emily, I know you're huge in relationships, especially provider relationships. It's a big part of what you do. Are there certain things that you do with those provider relationships that you have that gear you towards AEP? Like, do you go back to them and go, hey, it's AEP time? Are you making any changes? Is there certain things that you look for there?
I mean, the thing with managing providers is you want to make sure, meaning physicians, dentists, vision providers, you want to make sure you're constantly bringing value to them and to their patient base, right? And the mistake that a lot of agents make is it's like a one-way street. Like, give me all these referrals, but they're not willing to show up. And so the thing is you really got to bring value. So one of the things, especially if you're a new agent getting into provider marketing, the value that you can bring right now is the market changes. So if you know of a plan going out of the area, I would be looking at that plan and saying, okay, what doctors are in that network? Let me go and let them know. Because you may not be able to talk to clients publicly about it, but you can go ahead and get ahead of it and say, hey, Dr. So-and-so, this plan is going to be leaving the area. Like, you need to be prepared for that come October 1st. That's something of value that helps them, because what's going to end up happening, they don't know. They don't have time to be managing all this. And I do love our carrier provider relations and net ops people, but the reality is you have thousands of doctors in places like Houston. You cannot get them to get the information for all these carriers. So you as an agent can bring that kind of value. So that's not really a change, but we're just constantly doing that all year round. Again, identifying opportunities for those doctors to salvage their patient panel. That's one of the biggest values that you as an agent bring, is not just information from the carriers, but helping them keep their patient panel in their practice so that they can continue to service and make dollars off of that. Look, I know we're in this business to help people. Doctors became a doctor to help people. But at the end of the day, ain't nobody doing this for free. Okay. So, they lose a lot of their patients during AEP and when people are turning 65. So as an agent, if you're going to manage those relationships, that is the exact value that you bring to those physicians, is keeping their patient panels in their practice, letting them continue to make money. And oh, by the way, when there's a major disruption, I'm going to be here to help you figure that out and be the strategist that helps you service those clients so they're not, caught blindsided. Things like, the AmeriGroup rebranding. Again, we're having an initiative to go and target our doctors, say, look, they're rebranding. You're going to get confused. We're going to be confused. Everybody's going to be confused, but it's okay, So the sooner you get it out and continue to repeat it, again, that's another key opportunity and a win for agents.
Absolutely. And plan exits are a big part of that, obviously. And you mentioned that. And there's some big ones happening this year. I mean, whether it's hospitals that are exiting the network or if it's carriers, like just, for example, Molina is exiting New Mexico completely this year. We've got a pretty good little book of business in New Mexico for Molina. So we're having to make steps to get out to those people and let them know, hey, that DSNP plan you got, it ain't going to be there next year. So we got to make some changes.
Yeah, compliantly.
Absolutely.
We do have a carrier on the line.
Yes, we do. And I'm coming back around to her real quick, Victoria, in regards to agent relationships and agents asking you for support, right? They call up the phone, hey, ring, ring, ring. Victoria, look, I wrote a bunch of business with you last year. You probably already know that and have the relationship with them. What are some of the things that you hear from agents that they're asking you for that you would say are reasonable asks that you and Blue Cross and you think any carrier should be willing to jump in and help?
Sure. So I do want to stress that building a relationship with the carrier, even if it's your top 3 carriers, is key to being successful in this business. Because like Joshua said, a lot of times, especially if you're starting out, it's the carrier that has the resources that you're going to need to be successful. For example, well, first of all, let me say it is very problematic if you're going to come to me and ask where are the leads, because what I ask you is, what's your buy-in? What are you bringing to the table? So for those new agents, don't do that. More so like, this is my plan. How can you support me, Victoria? Because from a carrier perspective, we provide selling support. We can provide assistance with event fees. We can provide support for food and snacks. We can provide promotional items, marketing pieces, flyers, mailers. Right now, we have those giant flags that can go in front of your office outside. We can provide office space. We really can help provide opportunity for you as long as you're also willing to have skin in the game.
Yeah. Absolutely. The skin of the game is a huge part of it.
Skin of the game. And then even if you just sell, hey, Victoria, I'm going to sell 10 for you this year. Perfect. Let's sell 10. And then next year, we're going to sell 25. And we're going to continue to grow that business. So I want to see that you're also invested in it and not just coming to ask me for something.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we've done a great job of identifying those key agents in each of our markets that want to sell Blue Cross, because there are some, like Emily said, that are focused on one carrier, and that might be good and well. But when you have a portfolio of carriers that you represent, you have a better opportunity to serve your clients.
Absolutely. You brought up events, so I want to kind of shift gears. Emily, Josh, do either one of you guys sell through events? Yeah. Okay, Josh. What are some key events that you think are good for AEP that an agent should really consider?
You just keep, honestly, the best thing I've found, and I found this out on accident last year, a carrier rep supported my Turning 65 seminars. And unbeknownst to me, when they did that, they invited everybody from age like 64 to like 79. And so all of a sudden, all of my educational Medicare 101s for AEP that I, in years past, have stopped to focus on AEP, right? Two negatives to stopping your events in AEP. Number one, you're giving up an opportunity to talk to 30 or 40 or 50 people at once. And if you're a really good presenter, I usually get, if I have 30 people in a room, I'll get 28 or more people that sign up for an appointment from that. And so what I, in my opinion, if you do an event correctly, you can turn a lead, which is what the people that show up are, into a referral by the end of it, because you build a relationship during the conversation. And if you're good at keeping people engaged and part of the conversation, then the events are awesome. But yeah, for me, Turning 65 events, I just keep chugging them right through AEP. I also, my recommendation is for anybody in the business, until you're at a point where you can't afford to, and it's take the same mantra. So I don't know where the level is that you stop, but say yes to every opportunity. Say yes to everything. And what you'll learn is there's certain things you like to do and there's certain things you don't like to do. And there's also certain things that you'll think that you're not good at that you are. And then, oh my gosh, all of a sudden, guess what? You like it because you're good at it. But you've got to try other stuff. Don't just sit in a Walmart. Don't just follow leads. Don't just, you want to diversify as much as possible. But I can't stress enough in AEP, if you want to do big numbers, you've got to be very, very efficient. Very, very efficient with your time. And I would use events every year. It'll be part of my AEP boot camp coming up this week that I'm doing, the LaunchCon. We're going to go over how to block your schedule. And you start off with events. You block your schedule with events first, and then you build around the events. So if I'm going to do an event in Denver, Colorado, on Tuesday, the 25th of October, then I'm going to schedule my whole day in Denver around that. So I'm going to have appointments with clients in Denver in the morning, and I'm going to have lead drops in Denver, and I'm going to do a full marketing blitz. But events should be a cornerstone of what you're doing. If not, it's just because someone hasn't taught you how to do it right, because once you start to be fed 25 to 50 Turning 65s a month, because you just do 5 seminars a month in 1 week, which is my seminars are starting tonight. So tonight, tomorrow, then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of next week, I'll do 5 events. And from 5 events on average, I get about 125 people that show up. from those 125 people, I get 120 of them that say, yes, I would love an appointment. So
Yeah.
if
Closing
that's the
ratio
reason
on
to do
events
it,
is pretty high, especially seminars.
Yeah.
So that's been
and
my
to
experience.
piggyback before I pass it off to someone else because I talk too much, this is where the carrier rep can really horsepower you, because that's all the stuff she just said she can sponsor.
Yeah.
Right.
And if you're really creative, you secretly talk to 2 carrier reps, and you can get the 2 of them to pay 50% each, and then you don't pay anything at all. And then you talk to your upline, and they co-op at 2, and now you have 3 times the money.
And we're okay with that. Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We want you to succeed. So yes, ask us for what you need, but be prepared to give results.
Yeah, exactly. Josh, what, you don't have to give away your secret sauce, but what are some of the marketing or ad methods you use to get 30 people in that room?
Well, I used to do it myself. So I'm blessed that my dad was a graphic artist, and I was just sit around and watch. And so I kind of learned from osmosis. And so I designed my own stuff. And historically, I would use Vistaprint, and I would do all that. But the problem I ran into is when I have 30 agents, and now I got to either do it myself for 30 agents, or I got to figure out how to teach 30 agents to do it, both of which are not efficient uses of my time. And so I now use leading response per a recommendation from Justin Brock. I just said, hey, what are you guys doing? He said, we're doing Facebook ads. And so I did Facebook ads for a month. And then he goes, oh, Facebook ads suck right now, so switch to this. So I thought, okay, I just got done doing Facebook ads. But anyway, so be ready to pivot a lot, because the market moves. Think of it like if you've ever tried to put a window graphic on it, just put some new window graphics on my window, the bubbles. You feel like you have to chase the bubbles out of the window graphic when you're putting it on. It's going to feel the same way with this, where the marketing, you feel like it's working today, tomorrow, all of a sudden it doesn't work anymore. And so, yeah, the secret sauce to get people to attend is twofold. Use a company to do most of it. And then I always use I leverage my deep roots. That's my new mantra. It's deep roots marketing, not grassroots, because grass only grows like 2-inch roots. I want deep roots marketing. Okay, but my go-to all, let's say I'm doing an event in Longmont, Colorado. There's 3 Edward Jones advisors I have partnerships with. There's 4 doctors' offices I have partnerships with. So I'll go around, I'll take flyers to all of them. I'll go to the local churches. I'll go to the local bingo parlor. I'll go to the local breakfast place. If you've never, I challenge you right now when we get off this thing, go to the local breakfast place and find me someone under the age of 65, other than you. Okay?
Good luck with that.
But yeah, so leverage your combination of what I would call a saturation, and then use Facebook ads. If you don't know how to do that, pay someone else to do it.
Makes sense. You brought up Emily. He brought up Walmarts and stores and such. So, what would you tell if a new agent asked you, "Hey, Emily, I'm brand new. I don't have a book of business, but I've got an opportunity to get into a CVS location or a Walmart location or wherever it might be."
Yeah.
Is that a good idea? Is that something I should do?
Here's my thing. I'm a big fan of blocking your calendar. I think, and that's a good point that Joshua brought up.
Mm-hmm.
The idea is if you can master your calendar, you will be ultra successful. Because here's the deal. I have people who snub their nose at retail locations. That's what I'll call it, because you don't know if it's going to be a Walmart or a CVS or whatever, a physician's office. But the deal is they snub their nose at it because, like, well, I'm just going to sit there and I'm not going to get any traffic, and that's a waste of time. I'm like, yeah, but what else do you have going on? Right. So like, I'm a firm believer that yes, go ahead and start your events. Obviously you're committed. Those are filed events. Then you back in all the other activity. But I do think if you're a new agent, you need to get practice talking to people. So go out and do retail locations, get out there, start like forcing yourself. The worst thing, I don't know if y'all ever go and see these people, these agents, they're sitting here on their laptops like this. Like, dude,
talking to me.
Stand up, talk to people. Good morning, good afternoon, whatever. Obviously, you can't be like, hey, come over here. Let me give you some Medicare. Like you can't do that. But, within the guidelines, I mean, you don't have anything else going on. And to me, I think in our business, because we have like such a low standard or barrier of entry, it's like the most successful agents are the ones that get trained and are talking to someone immediately. Mm-hmm. And if it's a lead or a retail location or whatever, those people tend to be more successful than the ones who are trained to death, going to all these conferences, doing all this stuff, and they haven't even talked to one freaking client or one prospect. So I do think, like, don't snub your nose at any opportunity. I'm really big about say yes to everything and we'll figure it out. I will help you figure it out. Well, for my partners, just like Josh does for his partners and so on and so forth, right? So don't DM me, by the way, because we're busy. But my thing is like, say yes to everything. You don't know who you're going to meet. It's funny because I had an agent who sat in a retail location. They met somebody who manages, it's like a director, somebody who manages like 4 senior living facilities. And it wasn't because of the carrier that was there. It was that she was friendly and said good morning. And this lady didn't even qualify for Medicare. So it's like, just be part of your community. Do things that are within your community. Say yes to everything. Participate in everything. Carriers want to participate. They like the brand exposure too. So it's a win-win. I definitely think retail locations are great. Now, I will say this. I don't think that would be my only game plan, right? Just like events would not be my only game plan. When you're a new agent, you need to have, 2 or 3 things that you're working. And then again, go deep. I'm going to steal the deep roots thing. I like it. Because you want to go deep.
It's being trademarked.
Well, whatever. I can still say it. Credit to Joshua Youngs. But I like the deep roots thing because you can go deeper on that marketing. You don't want to just do a little bit of everything and then don't really maximize anything. But I think as new agents, to answer your question, yes, they need to say yes to retail. They need to be busy. If you're all dressed up and know where to go, that's what you need to be doing.
Makes sense.
Hey, Tony, can I comment on that too?
Yeah, go for it.
Because as we're training agents, we call it the wheel of activity. And so everything that Emily and Joshua said is on the wheel of activity. You have retail, you have community, you have living facilities. What I wanted to drop in there is business networking. So there's networking and then there's business networking. So if you can get involved in some professional business networking, even as a new agent, you'd be surprised how many doors it could open, because the people that you're networking with, they have parents that are aging in, they have grandparents, they have neighbors. So for me, when I was an independent agent, one of the activities on that whole wheel of activity that I really enjoyed was business networking. I got a lot of T65s out of that.
That explains why you're so good at NABIP.
Well, and the wheel, speaking of the wheel, for those of you that are going to do a retail location or any kind of informal sales event, here's my hack. So here's the secret sauce. Here's the magic thing. Make a theme out of it, number one. So for me, I can talk like a pirate, or I can do a few different things. And so for me, I would dress like a pirate. And I just ordered, it's like $12 on Amazon to order a prize wheel. Now, here's what I'll tell you about a table. Having free stuff, people just come take free stuff. What they'll do is they'll take without giving. However, what you can do, because one of the mysteries of getting retail to work correctly is getting them in front of you long enough. And so you can create a line with a prize wheel, but don't just have a prize wheel. And this is the way you give away swag. You don't just hand out swag. You make them win the swag on the prize wheel. Okay. But what you do is you have a game of whatever kind of game. So cornhole, shuffleboard, something, jacks, some kind of retro game that generation likes. Yahtzee's a good one. And you basically make them win an opportunity to spin the big prize wheel. Now that'll create a line at your table, and it'll also give you an opportunity to talk to the people longer, and you won't give away your swag so fast. Because I would bring like a candy bowl, and like two or three like greedy hands would empty my candy bowl. My entire budget. And if you didn't know, candy is expensive. So when you're a new agent on a budget, you can't afford them to take all your candy. And so you got to make them win the candy one piece at a time. But again, make it fun, make it attractive. The more fun and attractive you can make it, the more people are going to come to it. So
makes sense. Keeping it with events, what are some of the biggest mistakes that you see agents make, Victoria, when they're talking to you about an event or when they're running an event?
Well, like Emily said, the worst thing you can do is sit there like this. The way to be successful at an event is to stand up, be welcoming, say hi to every person. Somebody's going to ask you, hey, what are you doing here? It's the perfect opportunity to start the engage. Oh, well, tell me about your health insurance coverage. And simple question like that. Tell me about your coverage. What do you like about it? And then you might find out that they don't like this. So you can put them on your prospect list for AEP because they're unhappy with their current coverage. So for me, I think for events, just make sure that you've scouted the event and it's going to be a good ROI, not just on your money, but also your time. Is this an event that they've been doing for years? Is this an expo that has shown results? A lot of times you can get in you can get into an event and find out that in fact it's not a good use of your time. So you're going to mark that down for next year. But what I like to do at events is get to know the vendors at the event. Because when you get to know the other vendors, you get to find out where are you going to be next month or where are you going to be going next week and follow them because they've been doing it for a long time. So use your time wisely. Don't sit there, be welcoming, be present, and get to know everybody in the room. That's my advice.
Great tip. Great tip. Talk to the vendors. That's
Yes.
especially true if you're, and this isn't Medicare related, but if you're also doing ACA business, you should definitely be talking to those vendors because they're probably self-employed and could be an ACA opportunity for you. Speaking of ACA, I know you do both, Emily. You do a ton of Medicare, you do a ton of ACA. How do you balance both of those worlds during the AEP and the open enrollment for Medicare? Because they overlap. And what would you maybe tell a new agent that's like, well, I'm doing a little bit of ACA or I'm doing a little bit of Medicare and I want to do both? And how do you manage that?
Well, every year is a new year. So no, we learn a lot. It really helps when carriers don't have massive plan disruptions. That really helps us.
Sure.
On the Medicare side, I mean, we still have to visit our clients and make sure that they're not being impacted. I'm in the Houston market, so I've never been blessed with a market where we just have the same carriers offering the same stuff. There's always something going on. So maybe move to an area where you don't have much disruption. That would be my first advice. Just kidding. But no, the thing with planning it is when you're an agency owner, it's a little bit different than when you're an independent agent. When you're an agency owner and you have an employed internal sales team, you really got to get your Medicare people to focus on Medicare and your ACA to focus on ACA. The crazy thing about it, though, is we have a care team. They're all licensed and appointed as well. So they kind of go from customer service to plan renewals, and they manage our existing book. And we keep our internal sales team focused on new business because that's what we're trying to do. So it's really hard because we're looking, we actually sell more Medicare than we do ACA, but we just have a massive book of business that you got to renew every year for ACA. So it becomes really hard. We're using more and more technology to kind of help us a little bit with that, with the communication and the outreach. So I think as an independent agent, it's hard because you're okay, I got my Medicare clients. I see a lot of mistakes made by insurance agents. They start on October 15th calling their clients. What are you doing? You need to be contacting them. The phone should be going way before then, and all those plan renewals, we try to get it knocked out in the first week if possible. We obviously we can't talk about benefits, and I know some agents do. We don't. We got to be compliant, but especially since we're on podcasts, But we're trying to help clients to let them know, hey, this is, you got to get your renewal in. You got to set your appointment. We're trying to get them to book the appointment the first week so we can get that knocked out. So again, going back to mastering your calendar, this is really big for a new agent. Get your existing clients knocked out ASAP. Try to get it done in a week and then move on to your new business. Medicare, it's hard. I like Medicare because it's a long-term play. ACA is a short-term win. You can make that money real fast so that you can reinvest back into Medicare, right? That's kind of the strategy when you're a new agent. It is really expensive to get a Medicare book of business up and rolling. Yes, either time or money-wise, so that balance is key. I think for Medicare, also the other big advice is when you're going into Medicare, you should already have appointments. You should know who you're meeting with come October. It should not be well, I'm going to start marketing in October. You are way late. Like you should already know who you're meeting with. Your mail drop should already be done. Everything should be out and ready to go. Probably, I would say no later than August, in my personal opinion, so that you know who you're meeting with. You have your appointment set. It's just about being efficient with your time, and you've got to incorporate technology to kind of help you, because leaving voicemails and texting every individual client takes you hours. So you don't have time to do that. Embrace technology, learn how to use it, get with your upline partners. If they're not offering it, you better go and either pay for it or find someone who knows what they're doing, because it's like basically you're trying to maximize every ounce of your time, because that is the only way that you're going to keep your book of business and find new clients. There's no way that Joshua Youngs is enrolling thousands of people over AEP for both, because you do ACA too, Josh, right?
Yeah.
So he's got to manage the same thing. There's no way he's doing that with like pen and paper and hand text, so you're going to have to maximize your time through managing your calendar and using technology. I don't know if that answered your question, but
no, that was beautiful. And you brought up a great point, right? You can't wait until October 15th to start calling your current book.
No.
So when do you start your first outreach to your current clients, Josh? Because I know you have a large book.
Well,
obviously you have to create systems, and we'll get into systems, but when do you start contacting them?
Each year, I basically go with the ebb and flow of AHEP. So when I first started in the business, AHEP was like launched September 22nd. Everybody had AHEP on September 22nd, and we were ready for it. It was like all very quick. Now they've moved up to like pretty soon. It's like March 1st. We're doing AHEP for next year. Get ready. But I basically started my campaign August 1st this year. It starts out with my quarterly phone calls. So I have my staff, and I would recommend, whether you're doing virtual or face-to-face, doesn't matter. The brick and mortar matters to me, not because, number one, you can't hire a staff to work in your house. And number two, it's hard to write it off. Number three, when I go to my office, I come here to work, and I have two people right now that their whole job is to customer service, and that's it. Customer service. So what that means in customer service is servicing my current book. And so we start with the phone call outreach. I do email blast. I've done 3 email blasts so far. Video message in each one. Link to my Calendly for them to book. I control when they book. Make sure you test it before you launch it. I did this wrong one year, and then all of a sudden I was mad at other people because they were booking on my calendar in spots that I didn't filter out. So make sure, if you're going to use automation software and stuff, that you set everything up before you hit go. I've also, with automations, hit go before I made sure everything was lined up, and then people were getting met. Like, I saw an email yesterday from one of my clients that booked an AEP appointment and said, "Good news, we're going to make sure you have the right plan for 2021. I was like, God bless it. And so I had to go back in, and I had to refix those automations. So the rest of the people that go to that website now, it says 2024. But it's okay. It's okay to be human. Leverage your technology. Client appreciation lunch. So historically in my career, I've done my client appreciation lunches in June because it was like the off season for me. I felt like there's nothing for me to do. It's a good time filler. And originally when someone brought me the idea of client appreciation, honestly, it was a selfish thing where they were trying to pitch me on how I can cross-sell, because at the time I was a wimp when it came to cross-selling. I couldn't just talk to people about stuff. And so this year I've moved my client appreciation lunches to the first 2 weeks of September instead of June. And what I've been doing is we've been calling out right now with quarterly phone calls, and our quarterly phone calls equate to this. How are things going? Have you had any billing questions? Have you had any billing issues? Are you having any issues with your coverage? Are there any changes? Have you moved? You wouldn't believe how many clients I have that move and don't tell me. And update that, and then I pivot right away to, okay, we're having our client appreciation lunch, and we tell them in your area on this day. And I learned this the hard way, so I'll tell everybody the hack. Don't call the restaurants and book the restaurants first. Invite all your clients, find out how many people RSVP, and then go to the restaurant with as accurate of a head count as possible. Last year, I made a bunch of restaurants mad at me because I said, I think I'm going to have 40 and then 12 would show up, or I think I'm going to have 12 and then 40 would show up. They don't like either one of those. And so you want to try to be accurate on that. So client appreciation lunches, invite your friends, family, neighbors, bring your grandkids, bring everybody. I want your whole family there. And for 2 reasons. If I can get one of my clients to bring their family, my retention rates go up. If I can get someone to bring their whole family, my referral rates go up. If I can get someone to bring their family, my cross-selling rates go up.
Mm-hmm.
So the relationship, it's because the relationship's going up. And so and at this point, it's literally, there's no pitch, there's no presentation, there's no nothing. There's a way they can sign up for their AEP review at that client appreciation. But every year, if the bigger your book gets, the easier this game gets. So people go, how are you going to do 400 apps again? Well, it's really easy. I've got 2,300 clients. If I can get 1 out of 4 of them to send me one person, done. I don't have to do anything else. I've got my full goal hit. But most of you should be able to get 50% of your book of business of clients to send you one person to give a chance at helping. You just need one. But you got to create a message of a mission first, because humans love to get behind a mission. You want to sound like the underdog. Like, my goal is to help 400, which is, people tell me I'm crazy and I need your help. And you want to have that mission for them to get behind. And you also got to tell them how to refer you. And so my best advice for that is to create 3 core values. Why 3? I don't know why humans like 3. Do 3 core values. And then what I do is my staff, me, everybody, every time we talk to them, so they call in, they say, Tony, I'm having a billing issue. I would train Tony to say, yes, our core value. Second core value is to be there before, during, and after your coverage starts. So remember, we're here to help. And every time we're reinstalling into their mind, so when they pass my card to somebody, it's not, hey, call Joshua, the boring insurance guy. It's, you got to call Joshua. He treats you like family. He takes you to lunch once a year. He's there before, during, and after every call. They repeat what you tell them.
Sure.
So train your clients to refer and leverage all that. I'm gonna talk all day if you guys get me going. So I'll shut up.
No, understood. We have a great comment that came in. Joshua is a machine, and that is certainly true. Client retention. What do you tell agents, Victoria, or what do you think is important when it comes to retaining your book of business?
Well, I don't know how, when I was selling, we always talked about the 30, 60, 90-day follow-up calls. And I don't know if that's realistic at this point, but at least the 90-day follow-up calls or the 60-day, because let's say their plan goes into effect January the 1st. If they're going to have any doctor issues or problem, it's going to happen, or they're going to have any pharmacy issues, it's going to happen in those first 2 months since their enrollment date. So following up with your clients is very important. And like Joshua was saying, he has key points that he's going to talk about with his clients. The things that I'm going to remember to talk to your clients about is, a reason to call. Do you know about the over-the-counter products? Do you know about the $100 member rewards program that you can get $100 in gift cards just by having your preventative services done? Are you familiar with the Silver Sneakers program to get you out of the house, moving your body? You want to make sure that they're familiar with all of those extra benefits that they receive, because when they're going to get a gift card in their pocket, they're going to say thank you. So those are reasons to call your clients and conversations to start. Do they know about the travel benefit where they can pay in-network copays even if they're out of network on an HMO plan, because we have that travel benefit? So there are a lot of reasons that you can call your client, but I think, right after the effective date of January the 1st, shortly thereafter, it's a good time to get in touch, because that's typically if they made a change when they're having pharmacy questions or doctor questions.
That's a great point, because you can't sell Medicare Advantage on the additional benefits.
Correct.
Right. So the only time you're ever really talking about them is when you're in the enrollment process or when you're covering it on the summary of benefits. So I like that idea of using those as talking points and reasons to call. That's a really great point, because I think a lot of agents understanding that, hey, I can call my client base. I just don't know what the hell to say to them.
Yeah.
And that little spot right there are great conversation starters.
Yeah. There's a lot of reasons you can call them that you're bringing value to them and not just saying, hey, what's up?
Love it. Love it. So Emily, we get 54 days during AEP to write as much business as we can. Yeah. Our clients can make as many decisions as they want in those 54 days. The last one that's turned in on December 7th is the one that sticks.
Right.
What do you do to prevent business that you read on October 15th from being lost on December 7th?
Well, the thing is we have our care team does outreach a lot. It all really starts in our when we're meeting with them face to face. At that time, we really have to seal ourselves in the seat and just they're being bombarded with information. They have, call centers calling them all the time. It just is what it is. But the thing is we, as agents, you have to identify what value you bring outside of just selling this one product. So for example, if we bundle sell, we typically, those people never leave. So that's one really great thing. So if we're selling, like, I foresee hospital inpatients going up in Houston, where hospital indemnity would actually be a complementary product. But if we sell cancer, hospital indemnity, recovery care, home health, whatever we sell another product, we typically, that client's lock their sign, seal, deliver, because they think that's in addition to their Medicare plan. So
Correct.
they're not going anywhere. So that's first and foremost. So that's helpful. But also agents have to identify what value you bring outside of just the product. So we're here for you year round. If you need to change your doctor, if you need to access benefits, if you need to coordinate a ride, we're predominantly in the Vietnamese market. So having that language barrier has helped us. We don't worry about call centers that much because they ain't speaking Vietnamese. And maybe they have their little agent that does, but they're not really doing the volume that is impactful, right?
Certainly.
So that, obviously not everybody speaks a foreign language, right? But I do think that agents are not realizing, like, you have competition, but you are different. So what makes you different? So what Josh Youngs and I'm like, okay, great. What's he doing? I got to go and figure out. He's not directly my competition in Houston, but what's he doing that I'm not? And I should be able to sell my competitor better than they can sell themselves, because then that tells me what I'm not doing correctly. So one time, and I'll give you just a heads up, this is not really agent related, but it's a good story. I was at an event and I said something that I guess is controversial, like, hey, if your upline only offers this and this, you need to rethink what you're doing here, and apparently that upline was there, or somebody that only offers this and this, and they got super offended, and it's like, okay, you can be offended, or you can actually go and embrace the change and be like, hey, instead of me looking at my competition and be like, they think they're so good, I don't waste my energy doing that stuff. I'm like, what are they doing that I'm not doing? And let me go do it, but do it better, right? And so that's how you bring value as an agent to your clients. There's loads of agents. There's over 3,600 agents in Houston. They are all just selling and pushing a product. We're not doing that. I can tell you not all 3,600 is doing what we're doing. So I love all the agents in Houston. I'm not no shaming, but hey, if you're pushing product, that you're going to lose those clients. You've got to bring other things of value. You working with, letting them know how close you are with your carrier reps. Those carrier reps are awesome when I can't get something resolved during customer service, right? They're your strategic partners, but they can also help you with, like, really crazy things. And they pick up your phone because you produce for them and you're engaged with them. They're going to help you solve these customer service problems. If you have a network operations problem, that carrier rep, they're going to help you figure out why this doctor's not getting their claim paid and all this stuff, so that doctor will start seeing patients again. I'm telling you, as an agent, the more plugged in you are with those carriers, with, the community, all those things are of value to you. They call us like, hey, I lost my Medicaid. Well, I know how to do that. Hey, I need extra help with prescriptions. I know how to do that. I'm part of this, like, Norma Johnson has this, like, a prescription drug group that I'm part of. So, like, I go and type in some rando drug in there to see if there's a manufacturer discount, a grant, like, what other resources. That's what makes us different than these other agents who are just pushing a product. So you build that value while you're in there. Say, look, you're going to get stuff in the mail. You're going to see really cool ads on TV. You're going to have little Facebook ads that advertise stuff. It's fine. If you see something you like, give me a call. Let me see. Because we chose this plan based on the information you told me today, right? And we don't have a disenrollment issue even on our English clients. We don't have that problem because of all the value we bring. In addition to that, we have some automation, text messages. Hey, Miss Mamie, I just want to make sure you're good. Did you enroll in anything else, or did you see anything else you wanted to look at before the season's up? Text messages, emails, all those kinds of things are going out, dripping them as they get closer to December 7th. And then, we just sit and wait. It's the longest day.
Love it. So obviously Josh is one of those guys that knows how to stand apart, right? He knows how to separate himself from the pack. I noticed that you're wearing your button upside down. I assume you did that on purpose.
Yeah, that's another thing I love. It's a hack that I learned on accident, actually. But believe it or not, if you wear your button right side up and it says "Ask me about Medicare," 90% of what I would get and people would say to me would be smart ass shit, like, "Okay, tell me about Medicare," or something dumb like that.
Oh, I'm glad you asked.
When I wear it upside down, humans can't help but point out when you make a mistake. They'll never tell you when you do it right, but they can't help. And so you and everybody else today is going to go, "Hey, did you know your button's upside down?" I'm going to say, "Yeah. What do you want to talk about, Medicare or what?" And I'll pivot it right in, and then I'm in control of the conversation now. And that's one of my keys that I give every agent is when you learn to control the question, and you're the one asking the question, and or you are only asking questions that you either want to know the answer to or know the answer to already. That's when you'll start to really separate yourself. But yeah, I wear my button upside down. I try to be branded every day. I just put the order in. I got a new car, but I was going back and forth because there is a certain level, because I'm a little bit of an aggressive, fast driver all the time. I speed. And so the last couple of weeks I've been anonymous for the first time in like 5 years because my car has had my logo, my website, and everything else on it. So you can't exactly like drive crazy with your logo on your car. But I'm going all in again, and I put my logo all over my car, my logo all over myself, logo over my wife, logo over my kids, logo on my dog. I'm of the opinion you're going to represent someone's brand, and rather than represent Gucci or something else, I'd rather represent my brand. And it inevitably, a few 5, 6, 7 times a year, somebody talks to me at the gas station or the grocery store or somewhere, and it turns into an app. And so if you could get 10, even if they're not turning 65, if they're just 10 regular apps a year from where, I mean, if I told you, hey, you're going to make $3,000 a year if you wear this button upside down, would you wear the button upside down? But other people don't look at it that way. They look at it as, well, most people don't talk to me. Yeah, I know. It's not for most people. It's for the 1 or 2 that you are in the right place at the right time. What you need to do is you need to be the creepy guy waiting in the background for the chance. You got to be there when the point of pain happens. And so when they're in the point of pain, hey, I'm turning 65. That's a point of pain. People are calling me. People are sent. This is 1 day's worth, by the way, for one client that they get in the mail. They all look the same. They all are different colors. There's a rainbow of crap coming in every day. And what you do to differentiate yourself is going to be what you do to attract people. So another enemy of mine, Tony, and I saw this the other day. We're at the carnival for my kids. They do the back to school carnival to raise money. And we're there, and my wife's taking pictures. And so I'm looking at the pictures she posts afterwards. Like 3 of them re-stand there with my stupid RBF. And for those of you who don't know what RBF is, it's resting bitch face. And I have the worst case of it ever. I promise you guys, I'm really not a mean, aggressive person. But my sons tell me that. My friends think you're intimidating. Apparently, I'm the most intimidating, angry-looking person there is. But now I'm aware of it. And so oftentimes I'll find myself that way. So smile. If you're that way, if you're shy, if you're an introvert, then you need to put on a uniform like I do, because I'm a shy introvert. When I put on my jersey, I become a new human. I'm the outgoing, friendly Joshua who plays around and does dancing and jokes and talks like a pirate and does other stuff. And my clients love me. I don't have clients. I have fanatics. I have people that are begging. And I'm not going to tell you what it is. But what I can say is one of these fanatics turned me on to a group of individuals, in essence, a group of people that focus on helping people with brain injuries. And people with brain injuries are often under age 65. And often are, if you didn't know, people that are under 65 and get Medicare due to disability are very difficult to target with direct mail and other stuff. And so you really have to rely on partnerships like that in the community to get that stuff. But yeah, AEP is coming. If you're not ready, you should be. Go to the carrier rollouts, go to all that stuff, start talking to what other people are doing. You'll get some good ideas from other people. Believe it or not, most people, including myself, love to just spill the beans and give you everything I'm doing, for 2 reasons. 1, I want you to succeed. Number 2, I want that person in your town. In Houston, Emily, I don't have an agent in Houston. So I want you to dominate Houston. I want you to help as many people in Houston as possible, because I don't want the crappy agent to get to them. And so if I can share with you today, however many people are watching or watch this later, if you start implementing any of the stuff that any of us have shared today, just one thing today, just do one thing and make it part of what you do. But you've got to make it a habit. And so if you've never learned how to do a habit before, I chewed my nails from age 4 to age like 30. And then one day I decided I wasn't gonna anymore. And so I stopped. And then I said, like 2 years later, I was like, I'm just going to start chewing my pinkies again. And so I chewed my pinky nails again for like 3 or 4 years again. And then one day I was like, what am I doing? I'm sitting there with a bloody finger going, what am I doing? But again, it's one of those things. And my daughter sucks her thumb and she tells me, Daddy, I can't stop. And so it's universal in humans, whether you're 50, whether you're 10, whether you're 5, if you have bad habits, it's because you created one. And you create one over a period of 90 days. If you can just do a new thing for 90 days in a row, you'll do it again forever. So
yeah, I used to chew my nails too, and my shrink recommended that I get some of those press-on nails, that it would discourage me. But the truth is, man, those things look so good. I just ate them right out of the box.
So I would feel like what's his name, Wolverine. I'd be around scratching people if I had fake nails. I know that.
We got to wrap up here pretty quick, but I have a couple more questions for everybody, or at least one more. And Josh, when people ask you what you do, right? I'm not talking agents, like just some random person, like, what is it that you do? You have an interesting answer for them. What is it?
Well, it's going to depend a little bit on who I'm talking to. If I think they're more on the low income side of things, and I'm going to talk about not showing up at the grocery counter and not being able to afford food, not showing up at the pharmacy counter and have your meds not covered, being able to go to the doctors that you want. If I'm talking to someone turning 65, and I think they're closer to that age range, I'm going to talk about the points of pain, like avoiding penalties. Like I help people avoid penalties and making Medicare mistakes and other stuff. You want to talk about the solutions that you offer and the problems that you solve, and really you want to use the points of pain. And so if you've got to practice using points of pain to market yourself, because like for Emily, if she's talking to someone about ACA, the points of pain are prices going up this year, and or the plan's going away, or there's usually some kind of disruption with the under 65 market. With Medicare, same thing. This year, if for those who didn't notice, I anticipate a huge, like the insurance companies know that 2025 is like 1 year away now. And so I am anticipating a huge retraction on prescription benefits, which you got to be really careful about how you compliantly go about that. But quietly sounding the alarm in your own head as you go through these reviews with clients, people on Eliquis or Xarelto or Trilogy or Trulicity or any of these tier 3 meds that are going to go from a $47 copay to an unknown. Okay, I'll leave it there. To an unknown next year that may have more exposure points for your clients. This is going to be a year of, in my opinion, more retention than it is growth, which is why I've set my goal, in my opinion, conservatively at 400 instead of my normal 600, 700, or 800. And I think it's going to be a slower year because of those 3 things. And I think the 48-hour scope rule, those that haven't been in the business long enough to understand that didn't stop business from happening before, and it's not going to stop it now. A lot of people are going to struggle with that. And again, it's just a habit you have to build back in and use it to your advantage. Tell them it's a dumb rule, but I follow all the rules, including the dumb ones. And that just builds credibility for you and leverages it into, look, I'm going to do everything right. And it goes to that cornerstone. But yeah, it's this time of year.
Well, I remember someone asked you what you do, and you said you create smiles.
Yeah, well, yeah, that too, and peace of mind. So for me, peace of mind is what we do. And if you didn't hear this from anyone else, we're selling an emotion. It's not like a car. That's not like my car where the guy sold me a car and I drove home. He was happy. I was happy. It's literally like a piece of paper at best. Like they send you a little plastic card. And then the client looks at it. Like, think back. I want everyone who's in the insurance industry, think back to before the day that you were in the insurance world, and how much did you really know about insurance when you looked at your little card? What did you know about deductibles? What did you know about max out of pocket? What did you know? Like, I honestly, I didn't even know what a deductible was when I first hit what is that? It doesn't make sense to me. But in reality, what is a deductible?
Right.
A deductible is the moat that your client has to swim across before the insurance company pays anything. And so, are there ways that I can build a bridge? Is there a gap filler? And you got to start using stories and visualizations to describe your client. Like yesterday, I had two clients sitting in here. At the end of it, they both had Medicare Advantage plans. They both had hospital indemnity. They both had cancer plans, because we talked about where the strengths and weaknesses of each option were, where the points of pain are, and what the holes are. And how are you describing a hole? Because when someone thinks hole, they think, oh my gosh, I have no coverage. It's not, no, you have no coverage. It's just now you have to actually pull your wallet out. Like all those times of going to the doctor for zero copay and all that, that's gone now. And now you're going to actually have to pull your wallet out. Or you pull your wallet out each month for a smaller amount and you protect yourself against having to empty your wallet once or twice every 5 years. And it's that premise of giving them those stories and telling them, like, visualize, like, hey, Billy or Emily, you're in the hospital. Yeah, I can visualize myself in the hospital. You're at the front patient check-in. Everybody who's been in the hospital has been put through the front patient check-in. And they say, your insurance doesn't work. Or like with my son's knee surgery a month ago, they said, well, in order to do the surgery today, I need you to write me a check for $6,000 today. No problem for a G, right? Good thing I've got my HSA, and good thing I've got all that. But some families, and I visualize myself that day, what does the family do that has $12 in their bank account? Right? And what pressure is that family on it? So that's the mission you're on. I just had a client, God rest her soul, she just died 2 days ago or 3 days ago on Friday. I got a call from another client because they're best friends, and all my clients are like that. There's a couple of families where I have 20 plus people in the same family as my clients. But I got a call, and her son, I reached out on Facebook. I said, we never met. I helped take care of both your mom and your dad. They both died in the last year. If there's anything I can do to help, let me know. What do you think the first question he asked me was, Tony?
What do you do?
Did you sell her any life insurance?
Oh, okay.
I said, no, unfortunately, no. They told me no, they didn't want any when I tried. Luckily, 2 years before I had met her, she had bought her own. And so I was able to help him find that. But again, that just goes back, and it hit me again. Like on my AEP email I just sent out yesterday, one of the questions when someone books an appointment for AEP is, do you have life insurance? I'm not going to go another time ever where a client calls me and I have to say no. And I just had to pray, God, please let her have life insurance somewhere else. Please. It's never going to happen to me again. And I'm going to have in my mind for every client, we've either talked about it or they have it.
Love it. Creating opportunities right there. All right. So we got to wrap this up in a minute, but I got a couple quick ones. Victoria, if you went back out in the field today with all the knowledge that you've gained over the years, you were an agent before, now you're the regional sales manager for Blue Cross, president of NABIP, all those glorious accolades. What would be the first thing that you would do as you approach AEP?
Get organized. I think organization is the key to your success. Have a structure in place. Make sure, let me just give another tip. When I was out there selling, is that I made sure that I had my niece write a bunch of thank you cards. She'd have 100 thank you cards by the time AEP started. So at the end of my sales day, if I wrote 15 applications at the end of the day, I addressed 15 thank you cards. So getting organized, having structure in place, making sure you got all your certifications done, you're ordering your supplies, you have your relationship with your carriers. Basically, that's it, is that have a structure in place so that you can be successful, because you can't be pulling and you just don't have time to be disorganized. So I think that's the key to being a successful agent, is having structure around what you do.
Absolutely. All right, Emily, final question. Not the same question. I got a new one for you because you're so smart. What are you doing about this 48-hour scope rule? Do you think it's going to create problems? Number one. And number two, what are you doing? Because it starts October 1. It starts for AEP. Yeah. So how are you approaching it to make sure that I've got a solid process for it?
The rules are the rules. So, we have our internal sales team, we have a brick and mortar. So people walk in. It's not really an issue for us, and it hasn't been. But I just like to point out the scope of appointment's been around for a very long time. This rule's not really, this has always been kind of a rule. I don't know where everyone got off of it. So it's not really something that, I don't know. To me, it's not that big of a deal. I think as an insurance agent, you have to roll with it. You have to also listen to the carriers. I think the big deal is right now is agents forget CMS is who regulates the carriers. Our contracts are with the carriers. We have to follow what they tell us to do, even if it's more strict than CMS, right? So I follow their processes. I know that there's agents that are like, oh, well, I'm going to do an outbound call and then have them call me, and now I'll avoid the scope. Apparently you can do that. So that's an option. It depends on which carrier you're talking to. So, like, that's kind of the thing is, I really wish carriers would just kind of come in and, really put an outline, not what CMS says. We all read it. Okay.
Yeah.
Talk about these little nuances and the workarounds. So compliance officers have approved that from FMOs. So I for our independent agents, if they're doing outbound calls, that's what they're going to do to get around it. Honestly, though, if you're brick and mortars is what a lot of agents of our agencies have. So it's really not a non-issue for us.
More of a non-issue, certainly.
Here's my deal with rules. You can hem and haw about it, or you can run towards them and make it work, right? Utilize your upline partners, their compliance officers, the carriers. I would be talking to, I want to see, I love my carrier reps, but I want to see it in writing from their compliance department, because that's what I'm going to roll off of. I just, the rules are what it is. It's time to make do with it. Get with your upline partners. It's their job to help you strategize on how to work around these rules. It's not really, to me, it's not really working around. It's just working within. So I just don't have a problem with it. I don't think most agents I'm talking to have a problem with it. So I think the carriers and the compliance officers have done their job.
Yeah. I think you said it best. And this is something I actually had to remind myself about it, or actually Justin Brock reminded me about it. Is that CMS creates the rules, but the carriers are the ones that enforce them.
Yeah.
Just do what your carriers say, and you should be okay. So with that said, thank all of you for joining me. I really appreciate it. Victoria, Emily, Josh, thank y'all so much. I know you guys are busy pros out there running and growing your own businesses. So thank you all for tuning in. Thank all you guys for tuning in as well. Do me a favor, give our panelists a little virtual applause in the comments down there. As always, this show is recorded. So if you want to go back and rewatch it, maybe you missed some of it, you'll always find it at the top of the group, the Insurance Syndicate, in the video section. And then, of course, it always gets pushed out to YouTube later. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, be sure and subscribe, because you'll find not only this video, but hundreds of other videos that we've shot Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, because that's right. We have a show every day at 9 a.m. here at the Insurance Syndicate. And we love you for watching. So go out and subscribe. Also, look out for us on Instagram. We have a new Instagram channel. We have a new TikTok channel. Syndicate Media is blowing up, and we want to keep you entertained and engaged and educated. So thanks again, guys, for tuning in. We'll see you next week, 9 a.m. at Tuesday. Have an awesome day.
Have a great AEP, everyone. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Bye-bye.